the U.S. government is in a shutdown again, and Congress missed the funding deadline, freezing pay for federal workers and halting many programs.
Mhm.
One big headline this week is that food stamps or SNAP benefits may not go out on time. Mike, is that really as catastrophic as people say, or are too many just gaming the system? And should people who get food assistance be required to work at least part-time to keep those benefits?
Oh, shit, Phil. I mean, that's such a. You just asked me 12 questions packaged as one.
So let me get this off my chest, okay? I, I
Trying to get me
already
going again.
I already had an agenda. That's probably why I had all those questions. This is another thing that I've got a pulse on, Mike. I would venture to say a majority of snaps and food stamp or whatever you call it benefits people need to go to work.
Well, okay, so the government shut down, and because of that, they can't fund the program. Now, that's a fact. There's supposedly a I don't know what you want to call it, a rainy day fund where they're supposed to be able to use in case this happens, which I actually am not in support of doing because here's the problem is that both parties have hijacked the system in order to shut the government down.
Mhm.
So what they're doing isn't right on either side.
I agree.
The SNAP program is vital to some people in the country. There's no question about it.
No doubt.
Now, the problem is I saw an interesting graph, very interesting graph yesterday, and it's a map of the United States that shows by county what counties use the most SNAP. And I was actually shocked, and maybe somebody out there in Listeningville can explain this to me, but I'm going to take an example because I last lived there. Massachusetts had an unbelievably high usage of SNAP. Now, explain that to me because the last I checked in, Massachusetts was the most educated state in America.
Mm-hmm.
It is considered to be one of the wealthiest states in America.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets my my panties in a
Strong
bunch, if you will.
economy.
Strong economy. So this gets me my panties in a bunch because what else is Massachusetts known for? Well, Massachusetts is known to be a very liberal state. So, shocker, shocker. If I got a liberal state, the likelihood that they're going to grant SNAP benefits is higher because they believe in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now are we suggesting that the reason that the SNAP benefits are so high in Massachusetts is because they like the programs? Well, so that would indicate to me that there's many people getting it that shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I would expect the SNAP payments to be super high in very poor, uneducated areas. Now, in some cases,
people go to work.
And that also might be the difference. That also might be the difference, Phil, because now you're talking about your average job being, let's call it minimum wage, as opposed to Boston, where your average job is starting at 200 grand. So it was an interesting, eye-opening graph. And the commentary involved in it was that the Republican Party wants to format the United States more like what you would find in Utah or Wyoming, which, by the way, the SNAP benefits were below 5% almost in every county in Wyoming, Utah, most of Nevada, various parts like that. And the Democrats want to model their program obviously more like Massachusetts or Oregon or Washington or California. So But it was interesting because I saw the SNAP benefits program being utilized more in liberal states and liberal areas than they were in red states. Now that's not the discussion that you typically hear lately, where people are always saying that the poor Republican right wing areas are ones getting more of the subsidy of the benefits. So somebody
Well,
explain this to me.
well, I agree as long as we are sticking to the food stamps and SNAP and stuff like that. If we're just talking about government subsidies and
No,
support,
that's different.
it flips
Yes,
to
agreed.
red by a
Yep,
large amount of money.
exactly. And that's why I'm specifically focused on SNAP and SNAP only. Because that was an interest. So I want somebody to explain that to me because I legit don't really understand that. Because when I looked at Massachusetts was damn it perp. I mean, it was so heavily. There were counties that were as high as nearing on 18 to 20%. It's one out of every five people. That seems unrealistic. Whereas we took parts of Arkansas, Alabama, that were like obviously poor counties that were down in the 5, 6, 7% range. So something not right.
So, Mike, I'm not going to try and pretend like I'm down and out, but something that has irritated me all my life is when I'm in a grocery store and the person in front of me, because I always pay attention to what people, buy, and I'm seeing all of these gourmet meats and different things, and then they pull out an EBT card, and I just spent an extra 30 minutes walking around to make sure I got the best prices, and I put something back to get something and all of this stuff. And this person literally has two uh carts of food, all gourmet stuff, and they're just giving an EBT card. I'm looking at their clothes. Their clothes are nicer than mine. I go out to the parking lot. They got a nicer car than me. There's a lot of scamming going on. People will get all of those benefits, some even including housing. So basically everything is paid for, and then they just find a way to make cash. And when you look at their life, they're living a $200,000 lifestyle without working. So
I
that's
mean,
what's going on in America. And back to the Overland community, you have a lot of Overland people. That's part of their scam.
mhm. Yeah, and you're right. So you asked me at the top of this segment, do I believe that if you are getting assistance programs like this, that you should be trading for work? And my answer is yes.
Hell yeah. It was supposed to be here's something to for you to survive until you get back on track.
But
It was
that's
supposed
not
to be a
what's
very
happening.
short, limited time.
And that's just simply not the case.
I had a buddy who by the time he was gonna get the benefits, he had found a job already. That's how it's supposed to go.
Yep.
So, Mike, as the government shutdown nears a month, President Trump's budget team quietly raided over $5 billion from military housing, research, and shipbuilding accounts to make sure troops are paid this Friday. With 42 million Americans set to lose food stamp benefits, it raises a question. Mike, is this really about taking care of the troops or a calculated move to keep pressure on Democrats and shift the blame away from Republicans?
It's a calculated move to shift the blame away from the Republicans. There's no question about it. Um, but I want to bring everybody back to what I said last week. The shutdown, and I've read about this, and I've listened to just about everybody's opinion on it. The shutdown, in my opinion, is more caused by the Democrats than the Republicans because they're the ones that are refusing to pass the appropriation bill because of those sunsetting issues that they want to extend, even though they voted before on them and approved when they would sunset. So if anybody's reneging on what they said before, it would be the Democrats, because now they want to change the due date on what largely, by the way, has got to do with the Obamacare program, which unfortunately, I mean, there's politics involved in that too, where the right is, they've just been against that from the day one. But the program sucks. I mean, I'm not saying it's better or worse necessarily than what we had before it, but it sucks just as bad as what we had before it, and probably, the healthcare in America is a disaster. So, unfortunately, what we need is a real solution instead of continuing to prop it up and extend it over and over and over again, where it's not a great program in the first place. But that's neither here nor there. The reality is that if four Democrats voted to pass this thing, that the stalemate would be over. So I don't know how you can. It's hard for me to see how you can blame the Republican side for it. They keep voting to pass the budget.